Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Cherika B, of course, and we're on another episode of Cherika B Talking, cause I be talking. On today's episode, I'm just gonna speak from the topic of your actions affect everyone around you. I thought of this topic and I wanna say Happy New Year, y'all, because a lot of things happened before 2025 even rolled in. At the end of 2024, I was just receiving like bad news and tragic news of just violence and everything happening to people, and it just made me sit back and ponder, and I wanted to address each situation individually and give lessons. This is a life coaching channel where I basically guide you all throughout life, give you feedback and information and experiences to take away from life experiences. So this isn't a celebrity gossip channel. It's basically we take situations, we analyze them, and we just try to make our life choices and decisions better overall. Also encouraging each other, setting goals, and just becoming an overall better you. So this topic of your actions affect everyone around you was just this reoccurring theme that I was seeing wrapping up 2024, entering into the new year, even on New Year Day, the actual day, January 1st, 2025. And I just realized that we are all guilty of selfishly living life. And a lot of times we do so unknowingly. Anyone listening to this message today, whether you are a mother, father, aunt, uncle, sister, cousin, stepmama, stepbrother, mentor, mentee, a student, a teacher, or anything in between, I want you to know that your actions and decisions in life have the power to either hurt or help someone. Whether you know it or not, there are people who value you possibly even more than you value yourself. And the life you live and the decisions you make, no matter how big or how small, can literally change your life and change the lives of the people who love you the most. I can admit from personal experience, I've had this reoccurring theme in my life where I avoid committed relationships unless I know I'm 1000% in, especially romantically committing to relationships. I like to know that I have no questions about this relationship before I commit to them because I take titles serious. That boyfriend and girlfriend title, it means something to me. That husband, that wife, it really means something to me. And in order to be that to someone and someone be that to me, my expectations goes through the roof. And we should all start really taking our relationships seriously. And when I say we should start taking all of our relationships seriously, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm speaking on all the previous roles I've mentioned earlier, like mother, daughter, father, sister, son, mentor, mentee, stepmother, stepfather, aunt, uncle. We should feel honored and privileged to be those things to someone. It's a very high calling, if you ask me. When you come from a family as big as mine, you understand the importance of family. Our families shape our beliefs, confidence, purpose, and decisions that we make in life. I want to reflect on how we can use the relationship or multiple roles we have in our families to show up in a more powerful, positive, and influential way. That's something that you would just ponder on yourself and see what's your strengths and how can you contribute your strengths to your family. Even me personally, with coming on here trying to help other people better themselves, I always say it starts at home. Like, I can't help other people if life at home isn't set in place. So I'm constantly checking on my sisters, making sure their mental is okay, seeing if they need advice, if they need help, because it's all good to try and save the world, but you got to make sure you're loving on and caring for those people that's closest and nearest to you. We have to remember that family is community. A lot of us come from families where a cousin may have been raised by your grandma or your aunt due to unfortunate circumstances. It can vary. And there's a power in stepping up when you can and where you can. we never get the root cause of children acting out or acting up. We have a tendency of just giving up on them, and this leaves young boys and young girls with a jaded perspective of life. Sure, life can be tough, but a child should never feel hopeless. And a lot of times these days when I'm on social media and just looking at the younger kids, especially in Atlanta area with the newer rappers and the crash out music, as they call it, I just see in these kids a demonic spirit, it's sad to say, and there's a hopelessness. And when you just have that faith and foundation and belief in God, that hope is restored. And a lot of kids are missing that these days. And it's sad because I think a lot of older family members can see that, but they fear it because it's a disconnect with generations and not understanding one another. And it's like, when the kids come around, there's a big elephant in the room, but no one ever addresses it. And it can turn into a tragedy when you don't address what you know is at your fingertips. And sometimes, even if you feel like you can't get through to someone or you can't relate to someone, it's still best to say something, because you never know how what you say or what you do or the care that you show to somebody will just change their perspective or help them when they were just so close to snapping or so close to making this one life-changing decision. That you just never know the influence you have on people's life. And I think when you see something and you don't do nothing about it, that's worse than seeing something and at least trying from whatever perspective or whatever angle you can come from. As long as someone is still alive and breathing, there is hope and the chance for change. If God hasn't counted them out, neither should we. So if you have those family members that's just walking around senseless and you don't really understand what they're doing, how they're doing, and why they're moving the way they're moving in life, don't give up on those people. Try and understand them and talk to them. Family isn't always just blood relationships either. We need to get back to the times where it was okay for any person like that was present and that was an elder to discipline younger children, because our community desperately needs it right now. It always baffles me when I hear people say a teenager is out of control, because while it is true that we live a life where we have free will and we make our own decisions, there is no way someone who is still a dependent should be labeled as out of control. And for our community, sometimes that can even go for early and mid 20s as well. Like, as long as you're still living with your mom and your dad and, you counting on them for everything, you're still a dependent in a way, because you're not all the way out there by yourself. And then even when they choose to go all the way out there by themselves, it's still a level of respect that we're missing with authority and with age, because no matter how old I am or how independent I am or how much money I make, my mom and my dad is still supposed to be held at a high regard, and we're supposed to honor our mother and father and respect them with the ultimate respect. So we need to get back to that just discipline within our community, and we got to stop taking the easy way out and basically opening the door for the devil to just take our youth. It's like devil not even having to fight and kick down doors anymore. We just letting them in. We got to get our foundation silent. We got to make sure our house is built of brick. We locking our doors, closing our windows, and really just focusing in on the people that we love, because this world is wicked and it's getting a hold of the youth, and it's very sad to watch. We got to fight back. And the first step is getting these children back grounded in their faith, getting them out of the environments that are detrimental to their growth. Even if you have to send them to live with a family member like they used to do back in the day for some time, go live with your uncle in a good community or whatever, learn how to take out some trash and cut grass and learn some trades, involving them in productive activities, whether it's sports or a book club or science fairs, and just getting them to use their hands and see that they can make things happen legally, and keeping them off social media. If you have young children in your house, you should be, I know that it's the new thing to buy these kids all of these electronics and phones and all the latest to make sure they're not being picked on at school. But you gotta have time slots where you're disciplining these children, where it may be a time frame where you gotta turn in the phone at night. You can't be in your room on your phone late at night scrolling, doing who knows what. It's just, we gotta let go of that wanting to be the cool parent. This is coming from someone who's just a big sister and that sees, I'm in that middle age where I see what children are doing and a disconnect of what older parents aren't able to see. And I'm just in that middle ground where I see the parent is trying to please their child and make sure their child is growing up happy and possibly having things that they didn't have, but you still got to put that discipline in there, and they'll respect it and understand it later in life, even if they don't right now. And you got to have productive talks with them to understand how they feel and what they want out of life. How is life making them feel? How is life treating them when you're not around? Like, are they truly happy, genuinely happy? Letting girls know that they're beautiful, that, you know, it's so much more to life than just their bodies, and showing their bodies, and it's okay to cover up. You know, even growing up, my mom and dad always just told us that we were beautiful. Like, they weren't always like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're just so beautiful. But we constantly had that reassurance around us with our daddy telling us wear our natural hair. And that's another topic that I can make another video about as well. So you just gotta instill love in these kids. The love is missing, the faith, and just the foundation. When we see someone heading down the wrong path, we should correct them before it's too late. And I say this with everything, all the news I received at the end of 2024, because oftentimes we glorify and condone violence. And sometimes we downplay the path that somebody could be heading down because we don't really think, we don't see that bad side of that person. We see their potential and the good in them and what they can be. And in some of our neighborhoods, it's applaudable for one to do whatever it takes to demand their respect. However, bold behavior only land people 6 feet under or behind bars. And that's something we really need to consider when we're making decisions that can affect not only just us, but other people. I went to church last Sunday and Bishop Bronner said something very important. He said, start making decisions and doing things that are good for your soul and not your ego. A lot of us have these huge egos and we're just walking around, crawling around with all this pride, and we're making decisions that aren't rational, and it's causing people their lives. So we just really need to start thinking before we act, and we need to start being real with people we love. Oftentimes when bad things happen to people we love, we try to coddle and we try to make excuses, when we just have to be responsible and take responsibility for what that person may have done and what you could have done to like correct their actions. So start telling people the truth in love. People may get mad at you, they may hate you for a season, they can't believe the answer or response you've given them and you didn't come through for them in the way they expected you to to basically make their behavior okay. But you have to be real with people if you claim to love people. Young boys and young girls need to know that someone loves and cares for them. I want to challenge everyone under the sound of my voice to start telling your family and friends that you love them. I have younger cousins who are in environments, friend groups, and even have behaviors that were concerning to me, to say the least. I'm no fool. I know how hard it is to be a young Black boy in America, the pressure to be cool, have money, be tough, and all of those things. And I can almost bet you most young boys don't even know who they truly are to their core. Their entire life and existence is a persona to be something everyone is expecting of them, and not who they can just confidently be and just live in their masculinity, their natural masculinity. They're constantly seeking validation, and all they truly really want is the same thing that the little girls that are judged for doing promiscuous acts and just things that we have no clue why or as to how this came about, this spirit came upon these children, but they're all just chasing after love. They all want to be loved. And that's why it's so hard to wrap our minds around everything that's going on in the world, because they will never out their mouth say, I just want love, because a lot of them don't even know that's what they want or that's what they're chasing after. They quite frankly believe the opposite. And all of these things have to start at home. We have to start telling our loved ones that we truly love them. And we got to start being real with people, because if we don't, it's going to be a time where it's too late and you're just grieving and crying a soul that could have been saved. But that's all I have for y'all today. And y'all know I'll be back because I'll be talking. Peace.